Okay, good morning. We're going live. I'm getting into my digital form here. As you can see, we have a palm leaf roof. Good morning. Well, I didn't sleep at all last night. For good reason. There was a huge party at our place that our landlady put on, and it went until 6 a.m. So, and it was the loud thumping rave type party with lights and everything. And even though I tried sleeping down the hill, it didn't quite work. So that's real life, isn't it? And all the people that came to so many people I'd never seen before, and it's the first time I had seen for a while, except in a restaurant where people are actually, hanging out and communicating in mass and dancing and having a good time. So that was all nice. Quite refreshing to see. Excuse me. So today's what we're talking about is uncovering innocence. So, as usual in these the topics that are picked, it's kind of my project for the week to look at that and my own process. And I understand also that this is a process that we are all. Yo, peace, Jared. Dig your music, man. So we're all in this doing this together, and everybody's having a bit of a different experience in this time. So what I've been addressing from the beginning is the first thing was to reclaim our attention, and this is so in our community and within ourselves we find the point of connection, and from there we start thinking in terms of us. We start thinking in terms of a sustainable view that includes the view of others, with a centerpiece, like the hub of the community is this sense of connectedness or the sense of unity, which is yoga. Yoga often gets confused with just exercises or certain, ways of looking and being, and even though that may be a manifestation, true yoga is just the feeling of oneness and unity that we all share. And by discussing it and just looking at it, we can see how we can always return to that space. And I'll backtrack just a little bit. So at first, it's the exercise in yoga community is first is to reclaim your attention, that point of contact which lights up your world. So your point of your attention is that which lights up whatever you put it on. If you put your attention on yourself, on that sense of I, it lights that up, and you realize that this I you have is also shared by other people. We all have our facets of it. Yeah. Hey, Nandi. So it's a way of just really grassroots, down home connecting with the underlying feeling of unity. So this is yoga as it spreads in the community. So first we're reclaiming our attention and identifying that part of us that is common to every other one. So our point of unity. And so as we get our attention, normally as an individual, the practice is withdraw your attention from the world, focus on the breath, the inside, and stay concentrated at that point. So that's an individual doing yoga. Now when we say, what does that look like when we take that sense of connectedness in ourselves and make the jump, we make the stretch into the community? Things pop up on my screen and I could be clueless. I am waving. So as we again as we stretch to the community, just the way we would do a physical stretch, we do emotional stretches. We do again, one of the things to me that is the most makes the most sense is we make this jump or this stretch between me and you or one and another, and as that spreads, that lights up the circuit. It lights up the inner web or net, the real inner net. So in yoga and community, this is the where it's really a conversation about who we are. If you know who you are, so if I recognize I am, then you can recognize that in others, despite the seeming differences of looks, viewpoints, and all that. We can take another person's viewpoint and make that the point of our beginning to know how they created the world that they live in. So rather than push them away because of their beliefs or recoil from what they think, instead we are vulnerable in a way and sensitive to how what must have happened for them. This gives us a door and an opening into the greater community. Then we don't polarize with others. Rather, we get an understanding and empathetic response, which opens us up to broader understanding, rather than closing off and being only self-concerned. So little by little, step by step, incrementally, we join in with and we understand how people, through their life experience, emotional impacts, etc., become the way they are and have the viewpoints they have. So what we're doing when I say we're uncovering innocence is, like in the last session, what we did was it the emotional. Oh no, okay, excuse me. I did their back and forth. It was the emotional climate, and then transform and transcend. So that's where we left off in the talk, is transforming and transcending. But what are we transforming and what are we transcending? So because we're using common words, everyone still has a different meaning for what those were, association with what those mean. So first, if we look at the emotional climate of the world we're in now. So we've drawn into ourselves to that sense of I and how I feel. I am. So we're breathing into that, how I feel. We've reclaimed our attention. And we start naturally, as we reclaim our attention, we start going to the source of our attention. As we go to the source of our attention, it's like we experience the emotional climate, not just our own emotions of the day, but we experience and we're sensitive to that wave, that pulse in the whole world. There's a breathing in and breathing out of the whole world. All of us are experiencing it. That pulse, that heartbeat of the planet, the night and day, the tides, is the breath of the planet. And our emotional climate, or how we feel as people, the individual and then the collected mass of that, is an energetic wave. As that passes through us, each of us has a different experience according to our orientation. So our experiences in life of the past, now that new wave has come up, and it's an amalgam, it's a composite, it's a mix of all the experiences on the planet. And as that passes through, this unity wave comes through, each person takes their own perspective. Now, if you're aware when this happens, this wave comes through, that creates an emotional climate, right? So this emotional climate is what we are all feeling it, this emotional climate. Now, sometimes we might go, you might draw back and feel resistance, uh, you know, tossed about on a sea of emotions, so to speak. Well, that's the time when we're talking about yoga and community that you focus your energy. Again, I like to use this analogy. You hold the positive and the negative, you hold them together and draw, pull, not just connect, collect towards the center of yourself. This I am sense. Soon as we go away too far left or too far right, we go away from center and our perspective gets more polarized. For example, something that some bit of news on the internet or the news or whatever happens, and because of that intensity, the the urge to react is strong. It's an electrical pulse. It's like now wants to react. So say your attention, your reclaimed attention now is drawn to react to that because it is in opposition of the way you believe. If at that point we feel that urge to react, at that electrical point, we focus on the, how would you say, the keeping our attention where we want it to be and respond as opposed to react. We consider how that image, we break it down. In other words, instead of taking it as set in stone, this is the way it is and I don't dig it, we hold our attention in the center. That gives us a view to how this notion was fabricated and how it was created. When we can see how it's created, we can dismantle it from within. If we oppose it from without and react, what happens is our positive, our attention goes to fulfill the attention and desire of what we oppose. Does that make sense? Our positive becomes, in reaction, becomes their negative, which is their positive. Yeah, that sounds confusing. But we basically we give our creative energy to that which we do not want. It's a strange configuration, but I've seen it work over and over. That in as I consider this and go through this on a daily basis, the react creates the polarization, the response creates consideration. Christ is Lord. And people show up on camera and I'm not sure what to do. I wave and everything. So anyways, in consideration, I appreciate anybody that's tuning into this. And anyways, in consideration then, instead of reaction, what we have is a holistic response. Now what this does for the community, yes, you are. What this does for the community is it spins the wheel. It turns the collective wheel in us, and all of a sudden we are working together in a community, and instead of being in opposition to what we don't want, our energy is going to what we do want. And there is a collective wave that happens. So, for example, right now in the world, the emotional climate is such that many people are in seeming opposition. And when they're in opposition, so polarized. So what happens is our attention gets diverted. So what we want to do when the attention gets diverted is moment by moment steer the energy back to what you would like to happen. So that's why I call this yoga off the mat or yoga in community. It's something that we do all the time. And we go off a little bit, we come back to center. Weigh the opposites, bring them together, and again, put our energy to what we would like to see happen. Now, again, in the emotional climate now of the times with political things, this view and that view, every narrative or view is vying for our creative energy to get our attention. Again, the big negative will draw our opposition. I don't like it. So as it heats up, as the emotional climate heats up, it's just as if the body has a fever. So what it does is it sweats out the toxins. So right now the emotional climate is such in the world, and it's like sticks rubbing together to create fire. This opposition is going back and forth and creating heat. And as it creates heat, it creates this a fever, if you will, in the world. But if we can contain it, here's the trick. If we can contain the heat, it will transform all that negative energy, the collected negative energy, into the energy to do what we want it to do. If we go in opposition and in anger at other people's viewpoints, our energy has been diverted to follow the other narrative, the other things that's being suggested. But that's not set in stone. So as a yogi in community, we are collectively now bringing the energy back to compassion and empathy. So we can understand the other viewpoint. We maybe not subscribe to it. It's like we allow for it, but at the same time, it doesn't mean we don't own it. It's not ours. It's like passing by. It's like we're going down this river of becoming, and we see, yeah, you could believe that. You could go with that. There's a lot of people that do. A lot of good people that believe this. A lot of good people believe that. But if we look at our sense of self, our sense of this I am, it connects to that part of us, that collective part of us that has more power than one side or the other. And this is very important, because you can go, well, the negative side, or the side opposite of you, your view, has a lot of power. It draws its power, so to speak, from you or me. We give it the fuel. Our negative reaction gives fuel to that. So what we are doing as yogis is we're taking that heat, which is created by opposition, by the rubbing together of and friction, we're taking that heat to cook the raw emotional ingredients that we've accepted in our lives. We're cooking it and turning it into, it's like taking food, raw ingredients of your life. So this idea of recipes for enlightenment, you take the raw ingredients that you've been given in your life, emotions, cultural situations, reactions, experiences, all those things that have happened, add your love and understanding into the pot and let her cook. Because if you, the alternative is you maintain your sense of what you think it is in opposition to what others think it is. If you let it cook, if you let the heat happen, if you contain the anger is not bad. The anger, you could say, if it's misappropriated, it becomes an attack, or it's fear. Fear is the opposite of anger. It becomes anger or fear. You can go there, and I think anybody that's seeing this is probably going, yeah, it don't work so good, does it? I don't agree with you, therefore you're out of the picture. Forget about it. But we're trying to broaden our understanding. This is the stretch that we make in yoga and the community. We're trying to broaden how we receive energy so we can open up. As the river gets closer to the ocean, to the mouth of the river, it widens and widens and widens until at some point you cannot tell the difference between the fresh water, the salt water. It all intermingles. If you decide on your own, like, I'm having none of it, I believe this, you take your position as being the all and everything, then what happens is your river diverts, and as the raw water dries up in the seasons, as natural it would, your little river now becomes isolated into a little pool and eventually just dries up. Sorry, not that fun. So what we're trying to do in the yoga and community is allowing for each other's need to take the time we need to understand how we are connected and to understand that these viewpoints are just points of view on our journey. And if we take them to be the all and everything, we get isolated. And so the ongoing attempt is to contain that energy in, like you could say, it's a cauldron. You can contain that energy and let the heat happen without reacting to that. Not so easy. So, what was I saying? Again, back to the middle. The midpoint, you could say, is there's a story, for example, there's a story in the Ramayana, the Hindu epic tale, where the monkey god Hanuman jumps across the ocean to find the princess Sita, who's been stolen by a 10-headed demon king. Now, Hanuman is the collective. You could say Hanuman is that in us which is connected. It's all of our potential. And when it's focused on the unity, on the one thing, it can make these incredible jumps. And this is what happens in the story. Hanuman leaps across this ocean. Well, that ocean is the distance between me and you, or you and another. But when it's no longer considered a distance, or say beliefs in the way or any obstacles, when that's no longer considered, we transcend the time and space thing that seems to separate us. So we can make this jump instantly. And again, it's just practice. The more you do it, the more you do it. And I know anybody that's seen this, that's taken up any kind of yoga practice or meditation or anything, or martial arts, whatever, it's always the reapplying the attention to the thing you're working on. So again, we're back to transforming the energy that's been built up in our lives, and then transcending it. So in order to transform it, it needs heat. So when we experience anger at the way things are in the world, or fear, our anger can get, our feeling, our potential can get siphoned off and directed towards what we don't want. So what we want to do as yogis and yoginis in a community is keep refocusing the energy on that which we want to see happen. And when it starts getting siphoned off into reaction, again, put it back on the fire. Put it back on the fire under your cauldron, because what we're doing is, the main thing is to disentangle ourselves from the polarization. It's not a selfish act. It's an act of wholeness and completion within us. So, again, now the idea is to transform that energy, and today the topic is uncovering innocence. So, the transform and transcend is alchemy. You could say this is a spiritual alchemy, is taking that uncooked raw stuff that we've been given as our gift for what we're going to create in our life, and how we transform that into what we want is our alchemy. We are changing, it's all the same elemental, but we are changing it back to its original essence. It's being transformed by using the energies of anger and fear instead of in reaction, to use the heat that's created by those things to transform those raw ingredients into the meal that we want to have. That makes sense. Once we focus that attention and it starts to cook these raw ingredients, that does create an emotional climate, that heat, because what arises out of that is unfinished things. You see it, oh, like this needs more cooking, right? If anybody that's cooked anything, you go, oh, that's raw. Oh, that rice ain't cooked, or whatever it is. So we are not different than that. So a lot of this is seeing how we and that it's intermingled, interspersed. So if we want to truly understand how I am that, I am that which I see and experience, if we really want to understand that, then these raw ingredients, these self-identities that we've created as we've gone along in life, we are breaking them down and dissolving them back into innocence. So innocence, now if you consider for, let's just think about that for a minute. Often the first thing that comes to mind, innocence, is a baby, a puppy, a kitty. Just a lot of things come up. A person. So if we consider innocence and then we use that lens to look at the world and the things that we seem to be in opposition of, and we go, okay, again, you were responding. This is our ability to respond to things rather than react. So if we can look at the world and what it's pushing us to feel, then, and we can render it or turn it back into its original innocence, we liberate ourselves from this ongoing reactive impulse. So because we want to be liberated from ignorance, from believing the unreal to be real. That's our inherent drive towards source. It seems to stand in the way between me and you, between me and realizing having self-realization. And what we're doing is the way we can activate that is when we see the world and all the things that are going on in it. How can we see the innocence underneath all of it? Whether it's a dictator or this is just not right, whatever you think, the most insanely, it's, as my partner would say, loving the unlovable, coming back, getting to that point of commitment in ourselves, our responsibility, ability to respond, so that we can have as our marker for our navigation innocence, the innocence of everyone. If we can render or turn the world innocent inside of us, no matter how it appears, by doing this, we free ourselves and do the best that we can for anybody else. To not fix someone in place, they're bad, look at all the things they've done, they're absolutely irredeemable. Now, if you take that stance, all of a sudden, something's not quite right. You can feel it. It's like, well, that puts you a little one up on this other person. I'm pretty darn good. They ain't so good. So there's this distinction's made. But if we go deeper into this sense, we can see that whatever this person or this collective of people have decided and have set themselves in this kind of fixed position, instead of opposing it and going, well, we'll vote them out of office, that's all fine. but we're going to do this and that in this. It's a war, the ongoing war. You can do that. The alternative is to work from the inside and break down in yourself how you fix that yourself into positions of belief, and then we'll see how we fix others in a position of their belief. We can help by our depth of understanding, by allowing the people that seem to be so opposed to what we believe, give them so much space in ourselves that there's nothing to hold them fixed in that position. Imagine right now, without naming names, you go, okay, a lot of these people are getting lots of attention out in the world. Now, you can see how the opposing sides really try to fix them in this nasty place. It's like, okay, that's going on. It's quite a show. What a show. We're all seeing it. Now, using that example of these polar opposite sides trying to just make this thing happen. So you can get into the fray. You can go, okay, yeah, this is what I believe. Okay, polarized, nothing happens. Or the alternative is understanding how our own cage or our own beliefs have constructed a prison for us. Now, if we do that, that means we're taking full responsibility for how we feel about things. We are reclaiming our attention and putting it to where we want it to go. If our attention is then diverted to what way others want it to go because it's in opposition to our own, we pull it back. And this is the basic practice of yoga. As soon as you see the mind going south, you pull it back to center. Starts going north, the other way, back to center. Because from the center point, we can look through all perspectives. Now, it's a practice. It's funny, it's a practice, it's a paradox because we're doing something to realize that we are already that which we're looking for. So it's kind of funny that we go through these different things, like where you do this to get that, but you are are already that. I found that that one day I was sitting and was looking outside and in nature, and I thought, well, I see it outside, but I feel it inside. And it happened first many years ago. I was at a satsang with my teacher and many people, and I looked and I was just thinking how much I appreciated and loved this teacher. I was feeling this reverence towards him, and I was projecting it. I felt suddenly that I was there with a couple hundred people, and we were having music, and I was just feeling this love for this person, and something clicked in my head. It said, "You see me there, but you feel me here." And at that point, that was a turnover for me. All of a sudden, I understood that the thing I was feeling and projecting was a feeling inside of me, and that this teacher was saying that all along, and I was just missing it by this much. The understanding that, like he'd always said, it's always inside of you. And okay. And then once I felt that, I realized, so this is my motivation now. It's like, how do you then share this? Because I had been a yoga teacher and all those things, teaching postures and techniques. I thought, this is much more interesting to me. This sensation that comes up, again, I see you there, but I feel you here. And I started realizing, all these people that in this group that are also focused on this teacher we share this in common. We're having this intense feeling of devotion and loving energy because this person, Babaji in this case, was so open, friendly, and he recognized us. And that's a thing that always stuck with me. It's all it takes from us is to see and feel the other and recognize who they really are. And we do that by recognizing them in us. And this brings us to that point of innocence, that this is about uncovering our innocence. Our innocence is who we are prior to putting beliefs and ideas layering on our essence. When we do that, we look and see the world through those beliefs. So, returning to our innocence and understanding our innocence is an ongoing, it's like breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. It's like a wave washes over us each time a breath comes through and washes away all the debris off the beach. So, we are no different from the ocean or the earth. The wave pulses in and out, and we feel that energetic wave because the heartbeat of the earth creates this wave. And it goes high tide, low tide. This creates the winds, this creates the climate, and our emotional climate intersperse and interreacts with the earth's climate. There's no difference. But what we need to understand, and I found I need to understand, is how deep and how real and functional the relationship we have with nature and how revealing it is. Like I said, the heartbeat of the earth, the pulse creates the tides, the moon, the sun, it goes on and on. And what we see, everything is a teaching of nature. If we observe nature closely, the river, its movement towards the sea, the seasons, the moon cycle, when we consider those things deeply, we have a very organic understanding of who we are in relationship to things. So it's not like when you understand something, game over, or we're done. It means the exploration is working. The view the journey that we're taking is opening up, and it works because it works for everyone. Now, this is the trick right now in the time we're in, when the compelling narrative can seem to be very negative. Just the way negative energy can use, for example, if you take very young men or people that have all this potential, and for example, a company like a computer company hires the best and brightest that have come in from college or whatever, headhunts them, gets them. Now, what happens then is all that creative energy that they have, the best and brightest, gets steered towards what this company produces, right? This is just kind of business. Now, because the world is the way it is, because there's competition, because there's greed and pride and all these things, we need to look at how we have contributed to those things, how understand the web that it creates. And again, it's reclaiming our attention and steering it back to the center place. I know I tend to go back and forth a little bit. So as I understand these things, I want to share them, and that's I think uh, my compulsion in this, or my desire, is like, how do we, as whoever is seeing this and experiencing that, collectively bring our attention to the thing we would like to see happen. Individually, we do it, and then we realize, oh, there's there's a lot of us doing it. A lot of us wanting to understand how to focus and know that we are not only connected, but we are working together to create the outcome we would like. Not just as an individual, but we are aware that we are creating this. Now, our precious energy could be siphoned off to the in a polarity, or by just having the conversation, even if it's a difficult conversation, by deepening understanding of how people could become fear-based. I know a lot of people that I I should say surprised. I don't know what you would say. Um, I think, how could I have a conversation with them that maybe is not in their belief thing? Because can we stretch to accommodate each other's views so we uncover the view, the sustainable projection that we're looking at, rather than, oh, you have to believe this or you're out of the picture, or you have to believe that and you're out of the picture. Why not, again, take both views, have them have a conversation, and say, what is the truth? So, as I said last week, there's a term called satsang, a Sanskrit word meaning company of truth. And what we're doing now is we're just having a satsang. We're just examining our common truth. Anybody can have a satsang. It's not a particular thing. It's where two or more people gather together and do their best to understand the common truth. Not what they believe necessarily, but use that common truth as a format to see how their beliefs could have become limitations, and also an understanding environment between the people that'll allow for that person to gracefully let go of their limitations, not setting it in stone that they believe this, therefore they're out of the picture, but no, being a support to their unfoldment. Because it's not easy. We've gotten into these things, these uncomfortable things, from personal emotional experiences that have made their mark. They have made grooves in our consciousness. And what we're doing now is going, okay, how do we come back to that state of innocence which we all shared before we added on all these beliefs with emotional impact? A belief is just a belief, but when it gets printed on you with, you know, if you don't, this is going to happen, and, so fear, all these things. What we want to do is understand how we accepted and believed those things, because then we understand that each one of us has been through something, very different experiences, that has created the need to feel strongly about how they feel and thus reinforce their beliefs. But in a situation where we're sharing the truth and we're all looking for the common truth, what happens is we allow for that person's innocence to rise and become who they really are. You could take the most malign person in the world right now, make them your project, because if we can make that most unlovable person, bring them to see through all of the bullshit, make that the responsibility, see through all of the bullshit, and hold to that which is true, the innocence, we release them and ourselves from that. So it's an exercise. You could say, again, I was saying yoga and community, it's not that it's a difference. Yoga, physical postures and everything, that activates all these energies in our body that brings us to this place now where we are comfortable enough to be vulnerable with each other so we can feel what we have in common. And when we can do that, we can share that sense of innocence and we can be vulnerable. You can take a walk without fear. You can feel like your real feelings don't need to be protected because they are shared by others. So I realize that words are an attempt at trying to steer the energy. It's like going down a river. I'm navigating right now down this river of becoming towards the ocean, and as it comes towards the ocean again, it turns into a delta. The river mouth, it widens and widens. So what happens is, as we come, this river of becoming we're in now comes closer to the ocean, we feel more expanded. Now, if we as we feel more expanded, others are feeling more contracted. As the energy grows, people that are more the more fixed people are, the more they contract. It's just night and day. So what we're doing as we get closer to the ocean and the river mouth expands and expands and expands and starts mingling with the salt water, and after a while, all those things that we saw as being different and important starts to dissolve into the ocean or to our source. So all of our differences initially break down and we return to source and we understand we are all in this cycle together. I know that saying it doesn't mean it's already done. It is a river. It is, and we are, as you can see now, we are all going down this river together. And as we're passing by, as we're going down the river, we're seeing things. Oh, I like that. I don't like that. And steering us. You start seeing that we start, because life and energy is in movement. So again, reclaiming our attention, bringing it to center, being committed and responsible to our ability to discern the energy, to feel it completely and point it at where we want it to go. Now this isn't why I repeat it, is because this is the ongoing yoga and community where we are always bringing the energy back into innocence. So water. Like I was saying earlier about my teacher and the experience with them, we're at a time now where if we can respond to our ability to see and feel the innocence of another, no matter what they appear to be, we're doing the best that we can. And I love you too. And because again, we're in it together. I don't think there's any experts in this field. This is an us thing where we as a collective are approaching a time in the world where we've never been. This river of becoming is flowing now. We've never been here. And our guide ultimately is our collective innocence. And when we assume that responsibility, that we can take our attention and put it into that innocence, and then what we will do is create that world where people are back can feel comfortable with themselves and realign themselves with nature. We realign with the natural world, and that's how we make the positive change. Voting will be political. Vote your conscience. But the real vote is where we go, I'm voting for us. So personally, I don't know, and I don't care about, I care about you. I care about us. And all the fighting and everything you can see, it's just to keep the engagement going. It's to maintain the war. We can take that same opposing energy, like I said before, use the heat of that fire, that anger that's going back and forth, use that anger rather than be opposed to it or afraid of it. Use it to heat up our cauldron of all of our raw ingredients, and we turn that into our personal recipe for enlightenment. By using that heat, we cook the raw ingredients of our life for our recipe for enlightenment. Now, each person has their own unique way of getting to this point. So, yeah, brother, my Hawaiian brother. So, aloha. Yeah, I would just like, I think more than anything, I would like for everyone to feel that who they are is okay, and that we're with you. And when you know that others are with you and hold you in the highest esteem, and that your innocence of the primary is our primary concern, we share something that will start spinning this wheel. That's the important thing right now. We're spinning this love wheel, you could say, and it's because we love, believe, respect each other and our relationship with nature. And as that spins, it sends out this energy that starts harmonizing the way the world is. Rather than getting locked into opposition of this person's right and that person's wrong, we're taking that energy that we're spinning, that love energy we're spinning, and we're focusing at what we want to see. So, what else can I say? So I'm going to play you a little song. I'm going to take a few weeks off from the weekly thing that I've been doing here on the music movement community. I so appreciate you, Jared and Christina, for putting this on. And anybody that's checked in, this online life is very unusual for me, and I'm compelled because I love you all. Somehow, even I've never met you, I feel like there's something in me that makes me want to do this, and it's a little odd, to just look at a screen and see a picture of myself and little figures waving. But there's something in us that's really important right now, and if we just keep to that, steering toward that collective ocean, it's all going to work out. So I'll play you a little song. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. Say. Tuning's everything. Breathe in deep, don't fall asleep. In order to awaken to the fact that where you're at, well, there can be no mistaking. Breathe in deep, feel the heat, your passion is arising. Where it goes, nobody knows, it's always so surprising. Breathe in deep, feel the heat. Living on the edge, riding on this wave. Where it goes, nobody knows. Where it goes, nobody always so surprising. Living on the edge, riding on this wave. Where it goes, nobody knows. Where it goes, nobody knows. Where it goes, nobody knows. It's always so surprising. Aho. Aloha. Thank you all very much for joining. I'm not sure how this is all going to involve. I want to keep doing this. I wish I could be more interactive as far as back and forth, and I think that can happen. I would love to hear other people, spin the wheel together and, have these discussions. It's interesting to do the thing online. I actually love to really be around people, see them, feel them. Anyways, love you all too much. Remember to hold the innocence of everybody in the world, and we're going to make this work. Okay? It's all going to work out, and just keep to the love and the innocence and understanding that it's all going back to source, and we can go along for this ride. Love you all. Have a great day. Here we go. Peace.